Hello students. In this lecture I am starting the new chapter flow measurement, and for this lecture I am taking the help of the material which I got from the NPTEL course. So flow measurement, as we know that it is of very much importance in industry. Accurate measurement of flow rate of liquids and gases is an essential requirement for maintaining the quality of industrial processes. As you know that in industry, whether it is raw material, whether it is the processed material or it is the final product, everywhere the material is passing through many conditions in many ways, from one place to other place, from one section, from one department to other department, the other section, and everywhere during the manufacturing of the final product, there are flow of quantity involved. And the measurement of flow rate is very important, because if there is a deflection in the magnitude of flow, then the quality of product may be abrupt or may be of poor quality. Okay, so for accurate measurement of flow rate, it is very important to understand that what is flow, why it is necessary, and what is its applications in industry. Now, it could be a volumetric or mass flow rate. The flow rate may be a volumetric or mass flow rate. The medium can be gas or liquid. See here, there are three conditions. The flow rate may be volumetric or mass flow rate. The medium could be gas or the liquid, and the measurement could be intrusive or non-intrusive. Intrusive means if we are doing the measurement of flow by the instrument which is injected in the material itself which is flowing, or from outside also we can do the measurement of flow. Okay, so these are the three conditions. Either the flow rate may be volumetric or mass flow rate, or the medium could be gas or liquid, or the measurement could be intrusive or non-intrusive. Okay, so there are different methods, and the different methods are listed here. There are different methods, and among these methods, from these methods we have to study only which are mentioned in your syllabus. So very first is obstruction type, that is also known as differential pressure or variable area meter. So this is also in your syllabus, very first point, that is variable head flow meter. And under variable flow meter, variable head flow meter, you have to take in discussion Venturi tube, flow nozzle, orifice plate and pitot tube. And the other one that is you have to study is variable area meter, and under this category there is only one instrument, one complete setup, that is known as rotameter. Then next is variable velocity meter, that is also known as anemometer. And in your syllabus there are special flow meters also, known as hot wire anemometer, electromagnetic flow meter and ultrasonic flow meter. Okay, so these are the various types that we have to study, and we will thoroughly study all these one by one. Okay, the number one type is obstruction type flow meter. Obstruction or head type flow meters are of two types. First is differential pressure type, and the second is variable area type. Orifice meter, Venturi meter, pitot tube are of differential pressure type, while the rotameter is of variable area type. Okay, Now, before starting its manufacturing and understanding its working, we have to understand the basic principle of obstruction type flow meter. What is the basic principle? As we know that flow can be of two types, viscous or turbulent. Viscous means when the liquid is thick, and turbulent means if you must have watched that if the speed of water is greater, then for the larger speed you can watch that there is not a smooth flow. The upper layer is having waves in it. The upper layer is constantly coming up and down, up and down. So that nature is known as turbulence nature, turbulent. Okay. Even in rivers also, you can watch that in rainy season the flow is having ups and downs. लहरें आपको दिखाई देती हैं उसमें. So that is known as turbulent nature. और जब बहुत शांत गति से, बहुत धीमी, सिंपल एक लेयर की तरह से फ्लो होता है तो हम उसको बोलते हैं विस्कस फ्लो. ठीक है. Whether a flow is viscous or turbulent can be decided by Reynolds number, that is indicated by RD. D is subscript, Reynolds number. Now if RD, Reynolds number, is greater than 2000, the flow is turbulent. So mathematically, if it is asked in objective types, so when the flow will be turbulent, if the Reynolds number, that is for the indication of flow whether it is viscous or turbulent, so if it is greater than 2000, then the flow will be turbulent, otherwise viscous. Okay. Now, if a channel of varying cross section, a channel means which is providing the path for flow, for fluid. So if the channel is of varying cross section and we consider two cross sections of channel, that is 1 and 2. We can watch it in this diagram also. Here, if this is a channel, here at position 1, the channel is of lower cross section, and at position 2, the channel is of larger cross section. So, if it is such that, and pressure, velocity, cross sectional area and height, these are datum. Pressure is indicated as P1, velocity is indicated as V1, cross-sectional area is indicated as A1, and height of the channel is indicated as Z1 for section 1, for cross-section 1 here in the diagram. Okay. And the corresponding values for section 2 is pressure is P2, velocity is V2, cross-sectional area is A2, and its height is Z2 at cross-section area 2. So, if the fluid flowing is incompressible, for incompressible fluid, this complete channel flow follows Bernoulli's equation. Bernoulli's equation. What is Bernoulli's equation? Mathematically, if we are taking in ideal condition, then P1 by gamma plus V1 square by 2G plus Z1. P1 is pressure, V1 velocity, Z is height of the channel at section 1. And gamma is the specific weight of fluid. Since in both the sections, section 1 and section 2 of the channel, the fluid is same. So, in both sides, the gamma, that is specific weight of the fluid, is same. So, in this, you can watch that in right side, what is the steps written, what are the terms written in the right side of the equation, the same terms are written in the left side also. Only the values are indicated by subscript 1 in the left side and the values are indicated by subscript 2 in the right side of the equation. Means the left side of this equation is for channel cross section 1 at cross section 1 and the right side is the formula for cross section 2 of the channel, and both are same, both are equals each other. In very simple manner I am trying to explain with some other very simple equation which I am taking here. In fluid dynamics, Bernoulli's principle states that an increase in the speed of fluid occurs simultaneously with a decrease in static pressure or a decrease in fluid's potential energy. How? This Bernoulli's principle can be derived by the principle of conservation of energy. Okay? And what is conservation of energy? Conservation of energy states that in a steady flow, sum of all forms of energy in a fluid along a streamline is the same at all points on the streamline. So what is the statement? The statement for principle of conservation of energy is, in a steady flow, the sum of all forms of energy in a fluid along a streamline is the same at all points on the streamline, and this requires that sum of kinetic energy, potential energy and internal energy remains constant. I am showing this with this formula which I have made here, which I have written here. What is Bernoulli's equation? It is based on conservation of energy. If energy per unit volume before means before means, here I have made the diagram I am showing you. This is the diagram. This is the diagram. If at this point there is an obstruction. So before this obstruction, what are the energies? Here V1 is the flow velocity, P1 is the pressure, and after this obstruction or at this obstruction, the pressure is P2 and velocity is V2. You can very easily understand, अगर कहीं से कोई पानी बह रहा है और अगर आपने रास्ते में उसको ब्लॉक करने की कोशिश की तो उस ब्लॉकेज पे पानी का स्पीड बढ़ जाता है, फ्लूइड का स्पीड बढ़ जाता है. Here, so here you can watch A2. At that obstruction, area is lesser than A1. This is A1. This complete area is A1. So A2 is lesser than A1. Then definitely V2 will be greater than V1. Means at lesser area, the velocity will be greater. And from Bernoulli's equation, we can solve it that P2 will be lesser than P1. Means increased fluid speed will decrease the internal pressure, and this can be generated, solved from this equation. If this complete equation is energy per unit volume before the obstruction is equal to energy per unit volume after this obstruction. So this is the pressure energy P1 plus half rho V1 square kinetic energy per unit volume, and rho G H1 is the potential energy per unit volume. So before the obstruction, these are the pressure energy, kinetic energy per unit volume and potential energy. So if we are taking the sum of all these energy before and taking sum of energies after the obstruction, so the total energy per unit volume before the obstruction will be equal to the total energy after this obstruction. Since V2 is greater than V1, okay, rho is constant. This rho G is constant. H2 is smaller. So overall, if you will put this one, V2 is greater, H2 is greater, and the total sum is equal, then definitely the P2 will be lesser. ठीक है ना? इन तीन टर्म्स में अगर दो टर्म का वैल्यू बढ़ रहा है लेकिन तीनों टर्म का सम जो है पहले के सम के बराबर है, तो डेफिनेटली ये जो P2 होगा वो लेसर होगा P1 से।